What is up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another live stream. Week 110, 110 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream. And it wouldn't be possible if it weren't for you right there. So thank you for coming around and hanging out on the Camera Junkie live stream, where I always remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. And if it is your first time here, my name's Louis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, and please make sure to introduce yourself in the chat so that you can get the nice Camera Junkie welcome and I can get to know you a little bit just the same way. And with that being said, as tradition goes, let's see right away who's here in chat. All right, where's my mouse cursor? All right, here we go. Right off the bat, we have Mr. Moderator Paul Duncan saying what's up to the fam. And as always, my little chat thing is microscopic. So let's fix it. The funny thing is, I'm thinking I'm understanding it now, because I always restart my computer before I go live. Excuse me. I always restart my computer, and I think that resets everything when it comes to the comment size, because from here on out, after I lock it in, I never have an issue. All right, and right after that, we have Mr. Cox saying hello to everyone. How are you doing, sir? He says he's listening from the road. Let me see. Listening from the road for a bit, but be in chat when I get back home. All right, then drive safe. All right. Paula saying hi to Kevin. John sneaking in here saying what's up to the crew. Randy saying hello to everyone who said had a rough week. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I hope that your next week is a lot easier. You're able to take some time off. It was an interesting week for me, but I can't say it was too rough. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. All right. There we go. And Paul says, a room of blue. Oh, I guess we only have moderators in chat right now. Hey, that's what it is. But everyone else will start trickling in. If it is your first time here, I usually say hello to everyone here, the Camera Junkie crew. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, like in a podcast form. Once I'm done with that, I will be heading into Cities Gaw and then closing that out. And then I will be coming and resuming back to the chat. So if you have any questions that you would like for me to answer, please make sure to put a Q colon in front of them. That way I can search for them through eCam. It's an amazing program. So I'll be able to search for your question and make sure that it gets answered once I've finished my podcast recording. So today I'm going to be talking about the new camera, the Panasonic S5 Mark II, or the S5 II, and them stepping up their game right now and actually now being like, with one small change, right? They've become a very viable competitor in the camera market from here on out. But let's get into it. I'm just going to speak my mind. As always, I'm not really going to get too technical with it, right? Because if you want that information, there's plenty of videos. And if you're anything like me, you've probably seen them already. But I'm just going to give you my thoughts on what I think is actually like a little bit innovative, and also the main features that I think is what's really going to set this camera apart. So all right, let's get into it. All right. 5, 4. Hello and welcome to the Camera Junkie podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about the Panasonic S5 II. And as I like to say it, the new phase for Panasonic. If you have been following the camera culture, the camera niche for a while now, you've known that Panasonic has provided us with a variety of good cameras that are very viable, but their one hindrance was the autofocus. It was even to the point where it was memeable. It's to the point where it was a joke that I've used myself on how you couldn't see with Panasonic because their autofocus wouldn't work. But they finally stepped up their game, I guess corrected themselves, because they were always reliant on using a archaic type of autofocusing system called depth from defocus. And their latest iteration, this new camera, is actually up to date with the latest and greatest in phase detection autofocus. Is phase detection autofocus that big of a difference? Why, yes, it is. It's such a difference that now it really heightens the other features that the Panasonic cameras lines have always carried, like amazing video codecs and great files to work with in post. So I'm going to go over some of the features that this new camera has that I think are the most prevalent, and why this camera is going to be a undoubtedly success. Like, this is going to be undoubtedly an amazing release from Panasonic. This is going to be an amazing release from Panasonic, and it's got a lot of people buzzing. So it's part of the L mount alliance. So the camera is going to have the L mount, which brings a variety, and I mean a variety of lenses available for you at your disposal. From third party to even Leica lenses are going to be part of this unification of Panasonic, Samsung, I believe Olympus, and Leica, part of the L mount alliance. There's just lenses galore for you to be able to use with this camera. It's a 24.2 megapixel in a full frame, but the big thing is that it's got the H.264.265 in 4228 and 10 bit, being able to be utilized directly in camera. Now, another thing that I think is really, awesome about the Panasonic cameras is that you can actually record even 12-bit RAW externally through the HDMI port. Another big thing that the Panasonic cameras actually give you access to, and this is even their previous releases, is open gate. And because of the native resolution of this new 24.2 megapixel sensor, you actually have a 6K open gate, meaning that your raw recordings are going to be the full readout of the sensor, and you're not going to get any type of pre-dedicated crop, whether it's 16:9 or any other type of file format, giving you complete control over the file in post. And the open gate really does allow you to take a standard shot or your raw recording and even use it vertically for social media posts. So with one recording, you will be able to actually have like full access to your file, which is something, like I said, that Panasonic has offered in their previous cameras. But now with this new camera that actually can have a reliable autofocus, the solo creators, and not even solo creators, just people who want to take one thing off of, like one worry off of their minds when it comes to their productions, having a reliable phase detect autofocus is very key. It does have dual UHS II card slots, so all of the codecs that I had just mentioned and all of the file formats, including OpenGate, you should have the ability to record to dual cards at the same time. Now, it has a 3.5 millimeter TRRS connection, which is the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I haven't seen it in other cameras, and I almost felt like slapping myself in the forehead and saying, why hasn't anyone done this before? Because they're constantly talking about different types of cameras having both the headphone jack in 3.5 millimeter and the microphone jack in 3.5 millimeter, yet This camera has a 3.5 TRRS, which means it's got the tip ring sleeve. It's not doing an analog signal for just the audio, but also has the capability to have a microphone in it as well. So with the TRRS connection in the camera, you can buy a TRRS splitter to TRS split and have separate audio and microphone, you know, like audio out and microphone in through one connection on the camera. So if it's space that is like limited on the camera bodies, that you can't really add a microphone, you know, an additional microphone jack to a lot of these, or an additional headphone jack so that you can monitor the audio, this is such a kind of like no-brainer solution to add the combination jack so that you could either use one or the other, or both at the same time. So that's something that I think is like so minuscule, but yet will be revolutionary for a lot of cameras moving forward, because even my newest little Sony camera, if it were to have a TRRS jack instead of the microphone in, that's leaps and bounds so much better to be able to monitor the audio and record it at the same time. Like I said, I think that's gonna be a no-brainer for cameras moving on from here on out. It's got a full-size HDMI port, so that's gonna really help out for those external recorders to be able to use the highest quality, you know, like signal from your camera to your recorder. It's got 779 phase detection points. So it's not the most in any category by any chance, but I could honestly tell you, going from previous Sony cameras using less than 779 phase detection points, that's more than enough for what you're trying to do. And the fact that they're using a hybrid, you know, autofocus, both contrast and phase detection, and moved completely away from defocus, and moved completely away from defocus, that it's really, like I said, brought them right up to the forefront of being one of the better camera manufacturers for 2023 and moving forward. It's got a full magnesium body, and it's got a great size from what I'm familiar with their other camera bodies. And it weighs in at just about 1.5 pounds. So these are the reasons that I'm really excited about this camera, because the one flaw that Panasonic pretty much had was the autofocus, and by all accounts, them moving into this type of technology is just bringing them really up to date. And now the only complaint that I have is that I can't make fun of Panasonic anymore. Like, that's basically it. Like, all my jokes, I have to put them away because they're no longer valid. From all the tests that I was able to see, these cameras are working phenomenally, and I'm really excited to see what Panasonic comes out with in the future. This is like a prime example of when I say that when a camera company comes out with a new technology, even if it's not in your ecosystem, we're all winning, you know. And I'm really proud of Panasonic for taking this step and moving into this, and being able to see that their future cameras are going to be coming out with an adequate technology that's really going to put them on the forefront of, you know, productions, content creators, and so many more. So big ups to Panasonic. And like I said, I'm really happy for their new phase of their corporation and camera industry from 2023 here on out. Well, with that being said, I'm going to bring up today's Cities GAW, and that's channels that I think you should go and watch. And today I'm going to be highlighting none other than Chris Howe. And Chris Howe is a content creator, entrepreneur. He actually has a production company that does a lot or the majority of his business away from the YouTube platform. And he and his wife are both content creators. And he is actually one that recently, as of last year, took on a challenge to move away from his beloved Sony cameras and take on Panasonic for, I think, like a 3-month challenge. And that's where he started seeing the benefits in using these cameras for his not only YouTube production, but also his like business production as well. And having it to use that equipment in your business is probably the best way or the fastest way to learn the capabilities and the hindrances of that equipment. So he was able to produce a series of videos about Panasonic cameras that, if you're interested in, I would highly recommend you go check it out. That's kind of why I'm mentioning him right now. But I do highly recommend all of his content. I find him as well, you know, charismatic and very funny. But if you haven't heard of him, I highly recommend you check out his channel. Chris Howe, this week's City's Got channels that I think you should go and watch. Yep. And as a side note, I really think that the one hindrance that he had with these cameras going as of last year was the autofocus. So I'm just speculating, but I have, you know, a good mind to believe that he gave them a really good form of, you know, feedback about that hindrance, and that being probably the only thing that was keeping their camera corporation as a whole back from being part of the elite. And they took that information and right away produced their latest camera, totally, you know, reversing the technology that they've been using and dependent on for so long, and now come up with the phase detect autofocus. And like I said, I'm really excited for them as a company and excited for all of us as content creators, because if these cameras are able to produce good autofocus and amazing video codecs, then that's the one draw that they have. And myself, as being a Sony shooter, I can't wait to see what Sony's response is to such an amazing piece of hardware. Well, that's it for this week's Camera Junkie podcast. Thank you as always for listening and hanging out, and I will talk to you next week. All right, and that is my podcast recording. And with that, let's go to the crew. Let's see what's going on here. And once again, if you guys have any questions, whether it be about today's subject or anything at all, please put a Q colon in front of it so that I can take a look at it and we can see what we can figure out. All right. Hey, D's in the house saying door kicked in. Yo, I was laughing at Miss D's live stream when she was talking about like you kicking indoors. That was pretty funny. And by the way, if you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit that like button. It goes a long way and is highly, highly appreciated. I love this. Warning, watching the stream can cause a certain burst of gas. As long as your credit cards are out of reach, it will pass. I love that. That is great. You know what? I think I'm gonna probably clip that out and make that a little short or something for the live stream. All right. Aiden, how are you doing, buddy? Nah. But I can't play right now, puppy. Ooh, Aiden is my biggest and my most favorite distraction. But boy, ooh. He's amazing. but he wants to play all the time. I am also his favorite distraction. So even though he's got all these toys, he still wants dad's attention. Oh, I'm still on this screen. Let's go to that one. Okay. All right. He's got a question. He says, "What camera is Micro Four Thirds, right?" No, actually, that's a full frame camera. That's a new full frame camera from them. So a lot of people are talking about it, but no, it's a full frame 24.4 megapixel. It's a beast of a camera, and I believe, like, I didn't even confirm the price, but I believe it's like at $2,000. Like, it's going to really make some moves in it. Oh yeah, you see Randy answered it for me. Thank you, sir. He's saying full frame. Yeah, it's a full frame monster machine, man. Yep, me too. Says, glad you're here, Randall. Sorry to hear you had a rough week. Yep. I hope that the Camera Junkie live stream could give you a little bit of, push and, go-getiveness for next week. You understand? And always know that if things get bad one week, it's only going to make the next week even that much better. You really don't appreciate all of your highs unless you've had some lows. It kind of sucks, but it's life. 1 second. Kevin says the same thing. Autofocus is what pushed me away from Panasonic to Sony. It's beyond memeable. It is. Come on, like Casey from Camera Conspiracies made a whole line of merch around the Panasonic pony of autofocus or something that was always blurry and hilarious. Even he made a video of like, what do I do with my pony? Like, what do we do with the Panasonic pony? Says it's beyond memeable. Might as well smear Vaseline on your lens. See, that's hilarious. My OCD's getting to me. Hi, Gretchen. She's saying hi to me and to everyone. Sammy Superstar is in the house saying hello to everyone as well. I love this. Everybody just saying hi to everyone. It says, I enjoy Chris Howe's content. I bought his unblock cards. Very helpful for getting unstuck creatively. Very interesting. Oh, thank you for adding my Discord information there, Mr. Duncan. And if you're watching this stream and you're thinking, man, how do I get such an amazing moderator to help me out? I gotta say, you gotta look up Mr. Moderator, the Paul Duncan, and reach out to him. He's got his own channel dedicated all about this, and he'll be happy to get in contact with you to see if his services are right for you. Richard Sarkeesi is in the house saying what's up to everyone. And he also, yeah, I mentioned it before. Don't forget to hit the like button. Highly appreciated. Lewis and Paul, I took those AI Canva pics, the Canva pig pics, and made a 40-second video. Too fun. Oh, you spent some time on that. Oh, that's super cool. Says amen to that. I'm not sure exactly what we were talking about, but I agree with me. That makes sense. Well, let me know, guys, if you have any other like questions that you guys are like interested or just want my general opinion. I'm really excited about this camera. Like I said, a Camera Junkie. This one really does put Panasonic on the map for me. Like, it's something that you could really recommend right now. And if it's something that someone is interested in, right, to be able to get into like the Leica system, right, or the Leica lenses, which, like, if you haven't seen my previous shirt, the one that says glass before ass, optics are always more important than the camera body. And if you can get great Leica lenses and have them work natively with autofocus, with phase detection autofocus. And this is another thing. I was watching DP Review's video on this camera, right? And like their own personal, and they gave me a little nugget of information as well, which is not like not readily available. The fact that Leica and Panasonic now created this new like L2 type of division. So the L mount alliance is one thing within like a variety of different companies, but particularly Panasonic and Leica have this L, you know, like squared. They call it like the L2 little like subdivision where they're partnering up to create processors together. So it might not be, according to what they're saying, it might not be long before Leica is coming out with cameras themselves with phase detection autofocus, because now they're working together to create the processors that might have the capability to do that. But if you're familiar with the Leica brand, you know that they're probably one of the highest priced, you know, camera systems out there. They're very, very pricey, and you're talking about thousands upon thousands of dollars just for the glass. But paying $10,000 for a camera body and then $15,000 for a lens is not something that everyone's ready to do. But if for whatever reason you have a camera body that's $2,000 and you can rent a high quality $15,000 lens, you can make some amazing content and capture amazing images for a week or a weekend or a month, however you decide, and really take advantage of that, you know, ecosystem for a fraction of the price. You know, and when you're talking about raw files, you're really talking about the lens more than anything. So if you got high quality glass in front, you know, glass before ass. Gretchen says video took hardly any took any time at all. Use convert to presentation mode and it was slick. Like a drooling to, yeah, you know what's another camera that I like drool over and I've never used one. When it comes to autofocus, it's hideous, downright, like basically unusable, which is the Hasselblads, right? That like the XD1, but it looks like, how could I tell you? I've never held that camera and it looks like if I were to hold it, it's like holding a Ferrari. Like the detail, the styling, the look of the camera itself, then being full format, digital, like, you know, depth of field for days. And their autofocus is absolutely, you know, atrocious, right? But the cameras themselves, like that's one that I would definitely love to just put up there, even if I never use it, right? Like, so nice. Like the camera itself is a work of art. So on top of Leica that I absolutely can't wait to get my hands on one day, the Hasselblad is like one that I really want to take advantage of, so to speak. And you say you used the Hasselblad once and it was amazing. Okay, but which one did you use? Did you use that XD1 or was it a different one? Because, you know, the older Hasselblads, of course, but you're also talking about manual focusing as well. And just like a lot of these cameras up here, like this one that's hovering above my head right there in the shot, that one is my Zenit. It's a Russian company. It came with my, oh, what was the lens? The Helios. So I bought it because it came with the Helios lens and I wanted the Helios vintage lens. So I got that camera and the camera body came with it, and I gotta tell you, it feels so nice. Complete metal, jet black all the way around, just white lettering, and the thing is a tank. It is as good today as it was like 1969 when I believe it was made. Just amazing, and I'm just lucky to have that little piece of like tech and history. Yeah, and that's all I can say. Like a lot of the cameras up there are pretty old, you know. Some Asahis, and this one right there in the corner, that's a Polaroid land camera. You can tell it's got like the different, more square shape. So, yep, you know, and when I look at that technology is why I go back to my conversation that I always say. In all sincerity, we have like any camera that you can get your hands on within like the last 10 years is gonna be just amazing. You should be able to run circles around so many other things with just pretty much any camera within the last 10 years. And I really do mean it, because now that we're in 2023, we're talking about any camera from 2013 and up. So 2013 was the implementation of the Sony A7, the original, the Sony A6000. And I heard Doc Rock talking about like, oh, do you remember the time where Sony was coming out with so many cameras, but now that they just kind of slowed down? Yeah, but at that time they were really implementing all of the latest and greatest technology. And when they came out with something new, they came out with a new camera body with a new name. And now they have reached a point where they're making much smaller increments into the technology, and there's not so much room left to kind of perfect in these devices, unless it's like one that's gonna do it all, which my opinion is something that's never gonna happen, right? Because as soon as one camera can do it all, another one's gonna come out with something as simple as a TRRS jack, you know, and really start changing and be like, why don't all the cameras have this so that you can use whether you want your headphones or the microphone or both? So very interesting. But yep, it says it was the medium format film Hasselblad, my college instructor. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly. Now, when we're talking about the quality of a, you know, Hasselblad film camera, or even the quality of their full format digital XD1, like the images that you get out of it, like I just mentioned, depth of field for days. So it'll just be like the creamiest bokeh, and you're shooting at f4, f8, right? And you're getting such amazing detail in individuals. And I'm just speculating as far as a portrait, right? And then you get that nice creamy background that is just gonna look amazing, and anything that you get in focus is gonna be amazing. But today's kind of subject was just talking about autofocus and the phase detect, and the fact that they don't really have any viable autofocus even in their digital cameras is the one thing that would be really nice if they also took the presence of mind to get a serious autofocus. And it's not like that they're really trying to do video, right? But you get an eye detection autofocus on a Hasselblad, something that's like competes with these other cameras. Yeah, take my money, please, right? So I wish, well, not, let me say I wish. Not yet do I have the money for a Hasselblad, but that's coming in the future. Things are gonna be on the up and up for me in this year, and I'm really excited to take advantage of a lot of things coming. Oh yeah, so landscapes all the way on those Hasselblads. The one thing about, you know, landscape photography here in Florida is that there is none. Just, it's all flat. You know, like if I were to go and try to shoot the landscape, I all I'm getting is like rooftops, right? I've gone to like the Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood, and then I shot from like their 7th story car parking lot and get to the top and then just go to the edge and see what you can see, and all you see is trees and rooftops. So I'm like, there's really nothing. So the one thing that we have here, I wish I lived a bit closer to it, is the beach. And if you're able to, like, you know, live on the beach or get like amazing sunrises or sunsets on the beach here, that's kind of like the landscape photography aspect that you can really get in Florida. Yep. The only other thing is, like, unless you go kind of like middle of the state, and that would just be kind of like Lake Okeechobee, more like wetlands, more of the Everglades type aspect on it. And yeah, that'll be it. Look, you're laughing. It's the truth, man. All you see is trees and rooftops trying to shoot landscapes over here. Like, that's all you get, man. I'll tell you the truth. Like that, and then, you know, get some wildlife. You can really do some really good wildlife here because we got a lot of it, and it's within the city. Like, I took this photo when I was shooting Canon years ago, and I zoomed in on this iguana, and I got this like shot where you see the eye, like really detailed, really nice, and people like, where were you were taking that? And I was like, I was at Subway. I was at Subway at Pembroke Pines, and that, I was in my car, and it was like in one of these modes, but because there's no fencing, there's no, you know, like there's nothing inhibiting you between like a direct shot. Like, most people don't realize that you can tell like the animals from the zoo, and it not only has to do with that you can see like the crisscross of the fence within the shot, because some people try to like get into it, but when you actually start looking at the reflections in the eye of said animal, you actually see their environment, and that's where you can see whether they've been like in the wild or in captivity, so on and so forth. And over here you can find a lot of wildlife. Want to hear something funny? The funniest wildlife that I saw the other day was driving down 441, and as the bus was going to pick up a bus stop full of people, there was a rooster just hanging out at the bus stop, like if he was waiting for the bus. It was just too funny, but I did not have enough time to try to snap a picture of it as I drove by. It was just hilarious. It says wildlife in your backyard. Yeah. Well, I think your backyard is probably a little bit nicer for wildlife. Kevin says there are some amazing colored iguanas when we went to the Key West. Said hung out by the pool and got some cool photos with my phone before I brought the camera for my vacations. That's really cool. Yeah. Like, and over here they're everywhere. They are everywhere. But we get a lot of different animals. Like I said, we got roosters hanging out at bus stops. I used to know of like an entire like rooster and chicken, I don't know what you call that, like if that's, you know how geese have a flock or whatever, I don't know what you would call that, but still like an entire like chicken community by this Taco Bell over there in Pembroke Pines. This is hilarious. I'm like, only in South Florida, so we have everything out here. But I actually think that maybe not. I think, you know, going scientifically, right? The higher you get to like on the geological scale, or the closer you get to the polar ice caps, the more actual life there is, a variety of life. Like, you know, we have some, but it is definitely more into like the reptilian and the swamp type creatures. You know, we will never see a moose over here, right? So a lot of different things. You cracking up chicken community. I don't know what they're called. Like, because it's not a chicken coop, right? Coop is just what the farmers call the little house that they built for the chicken or the chickens, right? But I just started thinking about it. I'm like, I don't even know what you would call that. Like, you know, a flock of geese, right? Like, I guess I'm gonna need to look that up. That's gonna start bothering me now. But hey guys, I think that's it for this week, because we're talking about chickens and chicken coops and chicken communities. We're we're completely off base. But as always, guys, you guys are amazing. This is the best part of my week. I have so much fun talking about all of this stuff, including chicken communities. I'm gonna have to ask Katie. I'm gonna have to ask Katie Fox to see, because she has chickens, to see what it's called, because it's not called the coop, right? That's just like the building. That's like the building that they house the chickens in. So, so I'm done here. All right, I'm having too much fun, and I can really go off the rails on this and have a soliloquy on joking about chickens. But a gaggle of gators. Look at that. I'm gonna have to look up all these terms. I'm over here getting teary-eyed. It says, look, a group of chickens can be called a flock, peep, or brood. And I hope I'm saying that right. Flock is standard identifier denoting a group of most types of birds. Peeps is most commonly, I guess, something most commonly used in groups. Like, so that's funny. Oh, referred is most commonly referred to hatchlings or young chickens that still make a peep-like vocalizations. Brood is a group of young chickens born at the same time. So I would say brood is more like another farmer's term, right? Like they were all born at the same time, so they're all gonna grow at the same time and probably be harvested at the same time, right? As a farmer. But then the other things I would be like, okay, so now that makes sense. So, you know, this is the Camera Junkie crew, but now when people say, yo, those are my peeps, right? The peeps are just the little hatchlings, they're children's. So that makes a little bit more sense when it comes to ebonics. So, because this is what happens when there's two teachers in the room. Absolutely. But still, that's fun. Because, you know, without that little bit of information, we would have never gotten to the joke ahead of it, right? Or reverse that. Without the joke ahead of it, we would have never got into that information. But still, it was good to know, like, what you call them, because they're not called a coop. They're called... What is it? Yeah, a flock. A flock, the peeps, and the brood. And that is it for this week, everyone. Thank you as always for hanging out. We did it. We made another week of the Camera Junkie live stream. Yeah, I'm really excited about this new camera. But if you guys have any suggestions or topics that you want me to cover, hey, just make sure you send me a message or leave a comment down below so that I can look at it. I do check all the comments, you know, so that if you have something that you want to let me know, that's the best way to do so. Everyone, have an amazing week. If you don't know, we do this every week and we haven't missed in 110. So next week will be 111 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream, and I will be here at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I can't wait to see you here. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you guys.